It's actually a fatty acid esters, which that's way above
Did you used to date her?
my what's that? Fatty acid ester, yeah.
Welcome everyone to episode 81 of The Mashup, the best bourbon conversation you're going to hear all week long. We're your hosts, Anthony and Steven. Hello, sir.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. I see a familiar face.
Oh, I do too.
Heyo.
Oh, Mossick's in the house.
Is that the Alaskan man with a plan?
The Alaskan assassin, if you will.
The Alaskan assassin.
Yes, they called me the Alaskan assassin in high school.
Okay.
Actually, they called my brother that the first time, and then I just kind of inherited it.
Oh, nice.
Because I stole his number.
Ah, I like that. So we're talking what sport? Football?
Football, yeah. Two-time state champion. We went the third time and lost at state. So,
man. That's still two more state champions than anybody else sitting at this table.
That's
right?
true, yeah. So, Mossick, the other night, I was relaxing in the evening. I was sitting in my nice mahogany-lined room, wood panel room, sitting in my nice leather chair, and I turned on my favorite channel, Facebook. And what do I see in front of me? A little commercial. And who was on the screen?
Oh, man.
Yeah. So Smooth Ambler did a blind tasting in Lexington. Called out a bunch of whiskey nerds, got us into a studio, and poured us some whiskey. A couple glasses in front of you. On one glass it says Kentucky bourbon, and on the other glass it says not Kentucky bourbon.
Oh, that's all they did? Just like that?
Yeah.
Oh, so come on.
And they asked us our thoughts and some questions about what makes Kentucky so great, what makes Kentucky bourbon this, and Kentucky bourbon that, and I was like, well, actually, there's MGPI, and before that it was Seagram's. Before that it was LDI. You got Whistle Pig in the Northeast that does some fine rye whiskeys. They source a lot.
You got some nice places that make good stuff besides in
Jack
Kentucky.
Daniels in Tennessee.
Yeah.
I mean, a global brand.
Hey, is it bourbon though? I'm just kidding.
It meets all the requirements.
I know it does. I know.
But and then I mentioned Smooth Ambler out of Maxwell in West Virginia, and a lot of people don't. A lot of whiskey people know about Smooth Ambler and Maxwell and what they're doing there. But I just so happened to have lived like an hour and a half north of there in my travels, and when I had some time, I go down to the gift shop and share some pours with some of the guys there, and it developed a good relationship with them, and was lucky enough to try some of their spirits as they were bringing in that new column stuff. So 2.5 to 3 year products. And I'm super stoked about it, and we're seeing the fruits of the labor with their new expressions. So
It was good to see you, though. It's pretty funny. There you are.
Yeah. They got me. Yeah.
And to see you on that, I mean, I know it's kind of like a modern day advertising the Facebook space, but it's funny because when I was watching that, and I was watching it unfold, like, even knowing you, I'm like, what's he going to do? And then when you were like, I mean, at the end, when they were like, oh, it's actually that they said it was the same bourbon in the glass, right?
They said it was the same bourbon.
Do you think that they lied about that though, or you think it was
I don't
straight
know.
up?
I don't know. The power perception is a very real thing. But I think the point to drive home here, and I think it's important for a lot of people that had that preconceived notion that Kentucky bourbon's the best. I mean, it's hard to say that it isn't, right? I mean, because a lot of great bourbon's made in Kentucky, but that's kind of a subjective thing, if you want to call it that. But I think they made a great point in calling to light that not all bourbon made outside of Kentucky is not great, right? I mean, we've proved that over and over with MGP. There's been some really good releases out of West Virginia. Their own distillate's doing really well for its age, and I mean, Tennessee continues to smack it down. And all the Dickel haters, man, hey, they got a lot of great products. So.
Hey.
Uh-oh. So, Anthony, we had one review this week.
So this review comes to us from Rhodes Warrior, which I hope that's a reference to the Legion of Doom in wrestling, because I love the Legion of Doom. So even if it's not, it's all good. But the title of the review was Another Reason to Love Fridays. This was a 5-star review. And the reviewer said, hello. He said, y'all do a fantastic podcast that I look forward to every Friday. I travel a fair amount for work, so having this queued up for my drives to Beeham is always a must. I get to cover a lot of ground nationally and hunt different stores outside of my local sources, so I find myself listening to episodes multiple times, especially the past drive by. Very informative, genuine, unbiased reviews with some fun banter and commentary throughout. Keep it up. Keep chasing that Willet Pot Still sponsorship. Ha, and go Cats.
Go Cats.
That's a listener right there if they know about the Willet Pot Still stuff. So,
Hey, do them in the blinds, bro.
Yeah, I know, right?
They'll fare a lot better than you think. If you really don't like somebody, or you really just want to mess with somebody, man, throw that Willet Pot Still in the blind. You'd be surprised.
Well, there's some good advice, and we really appreciate that review. So keep them coming. If you want a shout out, give us a review on
Apple Podcasts or Facebook.
There you go. I almost took your thunder there.
That's all right. So, gentlemen, for this week, we have a bottle of Maker's Mark, the limited release for 2021 FAE-02.
All right. So this one's coming to us from the Maker's Mark Distillery in Loretta, Kentucky. Bottle date is 2021. The ABV is 54.55. Proof is 109.1. Age is non-age stated. The mash bill is 70% corn, 16% soft red wheat, and 14% malted barley. And this particular variety has 10 virgin toasted oak staves in the barrel. The MSRP is $59.99 for a 750 ml bottle.
Well, the bottle is pretty standard. I think the Private Selection Maker's Mark bottle, right?
Yeah, they don't really do a whole lot besides that. What is it, like almost a square-looking bottle, their normal bottle?
Yeah.
And then they don't have a lot of variety. What's like the most outlandish Maker's Mark bottle you've ever seen other than a different colored wax on top?
It's classy. I mean, what I think Maker's does really well is keeping it simple, right? I mean, if you've been to I'm sure you've been to the distillery at the very end. You're walking through the small rack house, right, leading into the tasting room and the waxing room. It is absolutely stunning. There's a lot of great glass work that's done in there. There's a lot of everything about Maker's to me is very aesthetic. From the beautiful stream running through the distillery.
Oh, it's
to all the decorations, the color contrast between the amber bourbon and the red wax. I mean, everything about this is elegant, classy, and I think you know, to try to make something more wild out of that is inherently kind of wrong for me.
And I think the window shutters there are beautiful too.
Absolutely.
They got the silhouette of the bottle.
Yeah,
I think that's great.
While you guys are nerding out on window shutters, I'm looking over here at this shelf that Steven has behind him.
Oh.
And he actually has bottles, Maker's bottles, that were part of his barrel when they fully became mature.
When they matured.
And there they are on full display. I'm going to open one of those.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
you got no choice.
I did a great job picking that barrel.
Yeah.
And I think you'll enjoy it.
I think can I open it?
No.
I'm going to leave right now and go open it.
No, but the front of it is basically looks like a carnival ticket that's been stickered on to the front to say it's the FAE-02.
Yeah, I agree. And it's kind of, get your classic little wax seal that's right on the outside of the bottle, which is standard stuff for Makers, but looks nice. It's a nice aesthetic.
I think they're highlighting a lot of the contrast of the fluid too, right? I mean that's why it's kind of minimal, in my opinion, with the engraved lettering on the back. That way, there's no opposing contrast, and a lot of the light can kind of bounce around in there, and you can get a great look and see what kind of color you're working with. I think it's elegant. I think it's beautiful.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I got no issues with it. All right, so gentlemen, a little bit of product info here. I like to give a little bit of that. The Makers,
this is pretty relatively new.
Yeah, it is. The wood finishing series is something that started in 2019 with a release called RC6. And we can talk a little bit about my personal opinion on the staves and how they're explained and stuff like that, because it doesn't always make a whole lot of sense to me. But when they started this wood finishing series, the general idea was that they would highlight different flavor profiles that were like related but not the same. And they wanted to sort of capture in their limited release over the course of a year 2 bottles that could be, I guess, divergent and complementary to one another at the same time. But this particular one, the FAE-01, was an American oak stave finished product, where the FAE-02 was using double heat treated virgin French oak barrel staves that underwent some kind of infrared heat exposure. And so the whole point here was to highlight the do you know what FAE-01 FAE stands for?
Something French.
French.
It's hard to guess.
I'm going to go with a French American Eagle.
French American Eagle.
No.
Can I?
That's how it was distributed.
Oh, okay. Distributor.
The Eagle. Oh, God. Eagle distill. Oh, yeah, I know some of the distributors. Who likes the distributors? It's actually a fatty acid esters, which that's way above my.
Did you use to date her?
My what's that? Fatty acid ester. Yeah.
Wait,
I thought it was fatty acids
because
everywhere.
It says 10 virgin toasted French.
Oh.
If you all dated,
Then that wouldn't be virgin toasted
That
oak.
made it
But yeah, so I don't
fatty
know.
acid esters.
Does that mean anything to you? It doesn't really mean anything to me. That's my problem, I guess, with this finishing series is that it doesn't. To me, as the consumer, I'm not an expert. I'm a guy who likes to drink good whiskey, and so when I see FAE-02, I just go, okay, it's a limited release. I'm going to try it, but I don't really know what it means.
Yeah, I mean, the front of the label, I guess they give you the tasting notes and they give you the FAA on it.
But what does that say? What do those
Exactly.
tasting notes say?
It's a textured forward expression that's full bodied and notes of toasted oak and a rich, creamy finish.
Which is not a lot to me.
Which I
It's
don't
just-
get. There's no FAE anywhere in that I can kind of abbreviate here.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate the tasting notes up front and some of the other info, but I wish there was like one line maybe at the bottom that kind of like told you what it
Yeah.
meant. And not that I know if, now that you told me what it means, I don't know if the average consumer is going to be like, what the hell is that?
No, I don't-
I'm glad you asked because I reached into my knowledge of Google.
Oh, you went on to
and,
Google?
and pulled up fatty acid esters, or FAEs, are a type of ester that results from the combination of a fatty acid with an alcohol. When the alcohol component is glycerol, the fatty acid esters produced can be monoglycerides and diglycerides or triglycerides. Dietary fatty or fats are chemically triglycerides.
Oh.
I'm glad you brought all that up because, I'm trying to use
more
new diet
confused
and it's
now.
got a lot of those same things in it.
So fatty acid esters are used in a wide range of industries for their lubricating properties,
Oh.
solvency,
Different
and
industries,
resistance
huh? Oh,
to
great.
oxidation.
Nice.
Wow.
And what
Yeah.
kind of staves do they pick for this?
Virgin French.
Oh, my God.
So, gentlemen, should we go for our first notes?
Man, there's a lot of sweetness.
Man makers does weeders well, right? I mean,
I agree.
Yeah.
that really red hot kind of sweetness that you're describing,
Yeah.
a little bit, the spice characteristics. It's amazing to me how makers can take some staves and set it in there for a few months, and it comes out a completely different profile.
It's like classic makers, but then it's different.
Well, the texture to me is almost identical to what you would expect,
Yeah,
right? And
like
that's-
it's familiar,
Right.
but yet exotic.
yeah. And makers
I like
does
that.
so well consistency, right, with their ability to
Yes, I don't.
kind of make everything.
I guess it's the way they roll the barrels and the rick houses to kind of give everything the same chance to come out.
Yeah, that rotation's big
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, but I mean their consistency, right? They aim for their specific profile and they nail it every time. It's amazing to see that where we kind of live in the single barrel world and try to kind of draw weird flavors, textures, and profiles out of single barrels. It's really cool to see something so consistent also be very widely varied.
Yeah.
On taste because based on a few staves that you can mix around.
Well, I haven't said a whole lot over here because I'm really enjoying nosing this, and it's almost like, I don't know if you guys will agree with this. I'm going to go out on a limb here, but I'm getting almost like a sweetness of gummy candies.
I got marshmallow.
Marshmallow? Is
Yeah.
that marshmallow?
That's
I'm
what
getting
that's what I've been getting.
okay, well, I guess we're in the same glucose.
Those damn
Family.
esters are getting you again.
Those
Aren't
esters are getting me.
they? And her fatty acid.
Oh, man. Well, that's just a nice nose.
It's hard to get past this nose, man. It's
lot
really,
of-
really easy.
a lot
very,
of-
very complex.
So the only thing that I really have to compare this to when we're nosing it is the private selections that Maker's Mark does.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of those there's a wide variance. Let's just say that because you can pick so many stave combinations. We talked about that in the previous episode when we did a private select.
Yeah.
That there's, what is there, like 99 or 199? I'm just making it up now.
Right.
Stave combinations that you can pick. So you're not going to always get consistency, but you're going to get interesting
So
flavors.
you get 10 staves, right, to finish in your barrel.
Yeah.
And you have 5 options.
Yep.
So there are a thousand, there are
Thousands.
hundreds or
Hundreds
of
yeah.
thousands. I'm not really good at math.
Yeah.
I did a barrel selection with Bubbles Wine and Spirits out of Kansas City. Great guy. It was just me and him, me and the owner of this liquor store.
He's like, do your thing.
So he was wanting to pick and just needed someone to go with him.
Right. Well,
No, I mean, not to downplay it, but I'm saying there's just you and him. I mean,
Oh, that's awesome.
That's
He's
random.
like, hey man, this
that's-
is your pick, and I feel so bad because I didn't get one.
You didn't get a bottle? You put the work in, you didn't get a bottle?
Well,
man.
I think part of that's me not reaching out. But Bubbles,
Did you not
man,
like the pick?
No, it's fantastic.
Just kidding,
I
I'm just
think
messing
you
around.
sold that.
You probably
pretty
sold the
quick.
bottle.
Yeah. Man, hopefully. Hey, Bubbles, man, if you're out there, holla at your boy, man.
If you're listening.
Hook a brother up.
And shout out to Mark Fuquan in Kansas City. But
Yeah.
no, the way that they do it is fantastic. I mean, they're blending for you right there on the spot. It's very, very, very neat because they have these nosing profile like kits that if you ask, like if you get real nerdy about it, he'll bring these chemical compounds in these vials. And then it's like, it's just chocolate, and it's like a liquid of oil, and then you open it, and it's like chocolate. Like
Dang.
it's in
Wow.
a vial, and it's liquid.
And so is that supposed to be connected to like the stave? Like you'll get that flavor from a certain stave? Or
Well, whatever chemical compound produces that smell is what it is.
Okay. So they're getting really technical.
Super, like the most epic nosing kit that I've ever seen.
That's the problem then. That's what I want to see that as a consumer. I want to know what goes into that, and I don't get to see that. I just get to see a bunch of staves on a sticker in a
Well,
store.
it's not to exemplify the staves. It's to exemplify what notes you could draw out of that. Right? It's just like a nosing kit.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, can I have this? And no. Don't even take a picture of it. Actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was really neat. But the way that they do this program, and it's so wild to go and try other people's picks and notice the differences, and even side by side if you have that option. It's so fantastic. American local eatery did one, and I swear it was in a blind. I thought it was a rye. Just because the way it hit.
Wow.
Yeah, it was before they did the one stave change from the French. Their French stave change.
I think we may have talked about that in a previous episode before you were sitting around the table, but that's probably one of the best private selections I ever had in my entire life. Was Merrick's. Yeah,
easy. One of the best for sure.
Yeah,
if not the
How
best
long ago
makers
was
I've
that?
had. I want to say pre-COVID. So
Yeah.
18, 19.
Are they
18,
probably,
19
they're probably
for
out of
sure.
those?
Yep.
I have one left.
Oh, we're coming to your house. We're going to steal it.
Should we go for our first taste, John?
Oh, yeah.
Man, that's pleasant.
I gotta say, like, as someone that I've stated before, I don't really like makers by itself. There's the standard. I like cooking with it and I like mixing with it.
What are you comparing it to?
I'm just saying in general. This is like the flavor, but this is so good. This is like reminds me of like the private selection. Or the cask strength that you can just drink it.
It's got to be the virgin staves.
You gotta get that little heat. Well, I mean, yeah, little heat because it's the 10 of them.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for the palate, for me, it's a typical weeder, right? I mean, you had that grippy kind of initial punch to its proofiness, that really nice for me, red hot. For a lot of others, that sweetness profile mixes with that spice real nice, and it just finishes and grips onto your palate. And at 109, just under 110, that's beautiful to see. I like it a lot.
So I got to ask you, what does the red wheat bring to the table?
Well, the descriptor would say soft red wheat, right?
Soft red wheat.
But I can't really. I don't know if I'd be able to pick it out in a blind.
Okay.
But it's definitely much more palatable than I remember.
Mm-hmm.
I get like, I don't know if this is intentional or not on their part, because they said the FAE-01 was supposed to be fruit forward, but I'm definitely getting some stewed fruit. And I'm also getting a really nice, sweet, balanced oak, which is almost like toasted or ashy a little bit, which is weird because I don't usually like that. But it's a really nice balanced ashiness.
That is interesting. I just got that ash, and I'm
it's
getting
like right in the back.
And one thing I gotta say about this taste is you get the heat a lot.
Yeah.
Like
But it's
I'm
not.
not gonna
It's
say
not
it's-
abrasive. It's not
No,
abrasive.
but I think it's at the cusp of being abrasive. Like, I don't know how many more tasting notes I'm getting because, my mouth is lit up
Okay.
for the majority of, of the time the liquid's in there.
Is it not? Is it not like as palatable to you?
No, I'm not. I'm actually, it's on the cusp, but I'm still enjoying drinking it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, it's hot. I mean,
So it drinks up.
yeah.
proof-wise?
It's warm.
So instead of being 110, you think in a blind you probably guess it in the teens or 20s.
Yeah. I would think so.
That's fair.
Yeah. Because there's a
Absolutely.
little tingle on the tongue
And that
from it.
red hot like sweetness just kind of, for me, it exemplifies or intensifies rather that heat
Yeah.
as well. But to your point, man, the ashy maybe it's power suggestion, but man, that's all.
Is
Yeah,
that right?
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
As soon as
It's
you
got
said it, I'm
some
like, I'm getting that
ashy
and the
bite.
heat.
Yeah, that's a great note.
Yeah.
That's a great note for this.
Maybe that's the layers that they're looking for. The layers of creaminess.
And this is saying of toasted oak, right? So that toasted, even though it's not toasted
Yeah.
per se, I think 10 virgin French oak staves that has, and it went through the UV.
They're infrared on
Infrared?
both sides.
Okay,
the
on
first
both
one was only one side. It
Okay.
was American oak. So I've not
So
had FAE
I
one
wonder
in a long
if
time.
I was thinking this when you said the infrared. So like an infrared grill, it just heats up the element and it cooks it.
Yeah.
Versus like a fire, which is going to create smoke.
Okay.
And that smoke could be put into the wood.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they decide to do the infrared to kind of eliminate the smoke element of it.
Well, I mean, it's already in a charred barrel, right? I mean, that char.
Right.
So what they'll do is they'll take that maker's blend and then put it into the barrel that's already been a part of the maturation process. So a lot of that char is going to remain.
Okay.
But when you describe my question and in saying that to kind of lead into that is would you describe the smoky? Are you getting
No, I'm not getting any
smokiness?
smoke. I'm saying
Okay.
that they choose to do the like a I guess a regular flame burn versus the infrared to
Yep.
kind of eliminate
Well, it's
that,
probably a
that after
delicate
effect.
It's probably a really delicate wood too, right?
Yeah.
And charring it like
Okay.
an American oak is going to probably gonna yield.
I mean,
different
they're
results.
virgin oak, so it's
Yeah.
gonna be they gotta be gentle.
right?
Yeah.
I'm going to go out on a massive limb, gentlemen. I'm going to interrupt this love fest for these major,
Hey, Mossack and I
major.
enjoying talking about the
Yeah.
America's wood species here.
And I've had a revelation here while we're drinking this. And follow me on this, guys, because it's going to sound very lowbrow, but I'm from Warren, Ohio. Okay. This
Scum of the earth.
Get out of the left lane.
you guys. I literally legit feel like this is like a fruit cocktail overlaid with like a cigar.
So it's huge.
But listen, but when I say lowbrow, a Swisher Sweet or like a Black and Mild, something that has a sweetness to
Yeah.
it.
I think
And
you're
I'm
trying
not a
to
cigar
dial
smoker.
in two things with one descriptor.
Yeah.
Whereas you should kind of already say, you already said it, eating a fruit cup in a cigar lounge.
Yeah.
No, I think he's talking about backyard just partying, they have hooch and
He said cigar, right?
Yeah, cigar though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so-
but I'm not a cigar and bourbon pair guy.
You go
Like,
to
I don't
Jake's
do-
and eat a fruit cup. This is what you're tasting.
That's there you go.
They
That's
offer
what it
fruit
is.
cups?
like
That's what it is.
like the fruit. If you're to bring yours, yeah, absolutely. Put it out of your prison wallet. No,
You got to get your can opener out, and you got to like
no,
get
like the little kitty.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
plastic. The
Yeah.
plastic ones,
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
peel the lid back, and that
Six
artificial
pack.
like fruity
Yeah.
jelly thing.
Yeah.
or
That
you open it, it
gelatinous-
spills everywhere.
But I just wanted to highlight, like, I don't know what it is, like, because I haven't smoked cigars in so long. The flavors that are familiar to me are
So what you're
Cigars.
saying to me is like my perception of it would be the texture of a cigar, right?
Yeah.
Like how that cigar will linger on your palate and that bitter anise kind of
Yep.
tannins are lingering, but that rich fruited fermenting fruit, I think is what you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. That's a great descriptor.
Gentlemen, would you pass, try, or buy on the Maker's Mark 2021 limited release FAE-02?
You know, for me, it's been a love-hate for a lot of these specialty releases, and I don't know why. Maybe I have preconceived notions about certain brands and where weeders are kind of a one-trick pony. But a lot of these single barrel selections and especially this FAE-02 has kind of turned me around. I'm buying this all day, especially for the price point.
As a product that has a yearly release like this, and they're only charging $60, and it's a nice, creme de la creme of the expression for the year for that product, I'm gonna say buy this.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in and make this a trifecta here and just say that I'm a buy all day, and I will say that it's been a long time since I've tasted this, so I can't necessarily remember what it tasted like back when I first tasted it, but I do know this. I had enough of the Maker's Wood Finishing series early on that not only am I a buy on this, but I went backward and made sure that I collected one of each of the vertical from 2019. So I have them stashed somewhere. So it's
Like the bottom of your closet?
yeah, the bottom of my closet, exactly.
Next to the Jordan 2s?
Yeah, next to the Jordans and everything else, but I got them in there. And I do think that it's part of the reason is because I've been impressed with it, and this reaffirms that. So that's a collection that I hope that I can open all side by side one day and really knock someone's socks off and have a good tasting with it.
Yeah, I mean, I like the cast strength version of Makers.
Yep.
And this just kind of is that plus, a little extra flavoring or a little different twist on it, which is great.
A bold lightning round. Would you take this over a Weller Foolproof?
Depends on the foolproof. But I'd say
Especially
probably
local.
60% of some foolproofs. Yeah, this is probably going to smack it in the blind.
Yeah.
How often have we said if Makers comes out with a 12-year,
Oh, God.
it would destroy the market?
I don't know, man. I mean, who's to say they don't? It wasn't that long ago. Jack Daniels said they didn't have anything over 10 years, or what was it, 8 or 9 years? And then 8 months later, they came out with the 12.
Oh, we did this little guy in the back.
I mean, I'm sure there's some barrels in there they're building up to.
Oh, I'm sure,
on
but
the
I mean, they
regular.
have yet to release it, and I'm just thinking as good as this. What is this? What is regular Makers 6-ish age?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They double that. I mean, my goodness.
Yeah, right. Well, they don't need to, right? I mean, they're blending skills, and that's just a hat off to what they're doing at Maker's Mark in
Yeah.
Loretta. They have some of the most fantastic blending methods.
Makers is getting ready to release their new wood finishing series, which isn't an experimentation of staves. The new series that's coming out, that's hitting markets now, is BRT 1, and they're going to follow it up with BRT 2. I don't know what BRT stands for, like I knew what FAE stands for.
I'm trying to think of it.
Yeah, but I do know this. They've said in their press releases that it's a nod to how they rotate their barrels and what they hope to achieve by having people try the barrels in the highest, hottest part of the rickhouse and the lowest, coldest part of the rickhouse at the same exact proof. And so that's kind of cool. I'm excited about that. And as much as the one other thing I want to say about this is, ladies and gentlemen, these releases are available. You will see them in your market. You'll be able to buy them.
You know how many times
They're not going to be like something you have to chase, because you will be able to walk into one of your stores and say, oh, we got the new Makers release. They're available and they're quality products. But anyway, I'm excited about it.
You know how many times I've went to Total Wine and for last year I saw this limited release bottle just sitting there.
Yeah,
And they had boxes of it.
exactly.
And so they can produce it, and it actually sits around. And so for someone like me that can't get out and stand in line all the time for these fall releases,
I think it's missing a flashy tater sticker. Makers, get on that. Stop being
That's
classy. Trash it up.
Yeah, that's the thing. If they did, but if they did trash it up, then you probably wouldn't be able to get one.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And with that, thanks for listening to this week's edition. Please like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Mashup KY. Also, let us know your thoughts on this bottle in the comment section. Until next time, keep it neat.